At some point on your journey to becoming a professional organizer, you will have realized that there's a lot more to it than just going into somebody's home and organizing. There's a lot of business back-end tasks and practices that need to be put in place. These are a lot of the tasks that people don't see, but they often experience when working with you. And having a super professional, well-oiled machine is going to make the difference between your customers having a great experience with you and a bad one. This is a lot of the nitty-gritty technical stuff. This is a lot of the delegation. This is a lot of the stuff that's not very sexy about running a business, but the most important aspects of running the business. I get a lot of people that shy away from this stuff, that don't focus on it until it's too late and comes back to bite them in the buns later. We don't want that for you. That is what today's podcast episode is all about. My guest on the Speak Organized podcast today is a business systems expert. She runs her whole business on helping people just like you and me, lots of professional organizers and other service industry professionals, to help them establish good systems throughout their business to have balance between the front end and the back end. She's going to explain what all that looks like. She's going to give us her best tips and strategies for outsourcing, for automations, for turning all of that sort of intimidating and non-sexy stuff into the bread and butter of your business. So if that sounds good to you, I encourage you to stick around and let's get into it. What's up, fam? Welcome back to the Speak Organized podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Summers, professional organizer, decluttering expert, and ADHD organizing specialist. I like to speak organized to give you the tools to conquer your clutter, live life with more purpose, and learn all about the business of tidying. Do me a favor, if you're new here and you aren't subscribed yet, go ahead and pull out that device and tap the subscribe button so that you are a member of the Speaker fam, and it would be my honor to have you on board. Don't forget to give this video, if you're watching on YouTube, a big old thumbs up and tap that notification bell so you're notified whenever I post new content every single week. My free Facebook group is available for y'all to join. The link is down in the description. It's a great place to commiserate with other business professionals just like you who are in the process of starting or leveling up their professional organizing business. Be sure to follow along on social media. My handle is @ISpeakOrganized. I mostly hang out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. There's tons of crazy, silly antics as well as some one-off tips that can be useful for you. So I want to see you there and hang out with you on social media. And perk your ears up for just the next 90 seconds so that you can get up to speed on my latest special offers. You have the opportunity to schedule an affordable consultation with me to get all of your questions answered. For real, nothing is off the table. And I would be honored to strategize with you and provide you with tons of resources during our call. I am serious about my mission to help you successfully start your own business and help you overcome any fear or doubt you have in your ability to make home organizing your new career. It was the best thing I ever did, and I would love to help you do it too. My schedule fills up quickly, so be sure to click the link in the description or the pinned comment to book your call before all of my slots are full for the month. And if you're ready to get paying clients in the door faster, you're going to need a streamlined process to onboard your prospects. And I have taken all the guesswork out of doing that. What to ask potential clients during consultations, what to put in your agreements, getting customer reviews, and more with my signature Pro Organizer Forms pack. These are 9 done-for-you forms that are customizable in a free Canva account, and I'll even show you how to set up that account if you've never used Canva before. These forms will save you days, possibly weeks worth of work researching and drafting critical documents to run your business professionally, and they're specifically designed for our industry. All of my YouTube and podcast fam get an exclusive discount, YT Pro 8, and that will get you $8 off at checkout. Lastly, if you are totally intimidated by using social media for your business, I have a great class that you can watch on your own time called the I Speak Organized Social Media Method. It includes 5 20 to 30 minute lessons that will help you come up with endless post ideas for the most popular platforms, including easy Reels and TikTok video ideas, how to boost your following and engagement with people who actually like and share your content, how to post consistently without spending hours on social every day with my signature content planner that you'll receive for free at the end of class, and a breakdown of all my favorite tools and software. I've made it super accessible and affordable for you. And of course, you get a bonus discount for being part of my speaker fam, ISO Social 5 at checkout. All right, speaker fam, welcome to this episode of the Speak Organized podcast. I'm very excited to be joined by my lovely guest. We have Brianna here. She is the COO and owner of Brianna's Business Boutique. I'm very happy and pleased to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Melanie. This should be a fun topic, and I'm excited to dive in with this.
I just want to introduce you officially to everybody. So you know yourself better than anybody else. So I'm going to let you take over on that one and just kind of give us a brief rundown of your business and what your essential services are that you can help us out with.
Yes, absolutely. So I own Brianna's Business Boutique, which caters online business management services focused on systems, scalability, and sustainability for entrepreneurs. So that is, I guess, that in a nutshell. But on the deeper level, I offer a full service of online business management services. So people who hire me pass me the keys to their car, and AKA their business. And I drive it from point A to point B. So I'm doing a lot of the backend systems, marketing, management of customer service, team management, Facebook groups, and a lot of different scaling initiatives as well. So they hire me as their right-hand wing woman, and I help implement and bring magic to their business.
That sounds just so amazing. All buttoned up nice and neat. Have you worked with a lot of professional organizers?
So funny story, my first client and my second client actually were professional organizers. So very early on, I found myself in the professional organizing world. And fun little tidbit, it's because that I was doing a lot of networking with professional organizers because I thought I was going to become one myself. So after I decided to do a virtual business instead of have a more physical location-based business, I was still connecting with all these professional organizers who ended up needing my services. So it was amazing. It was just so like serendipitous, I guess, that some of my first clients have a profession that I was very intrigued with. So yes, I've definitely been in that world for a while now.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it is interesting to me as I've furthered along in my business journey and worked with other people who are interested in starting the profession, how little training there is for the business side of things. Of course, you can go out and get general business training, but anybody who is able to cater their knowledge specifically to our industry, because there are several aspects of it that aren't as well understood. So it's nice to have somebody in your corner that can help you with the business aspect of it, because that's where I feel like a lot of my coaching clients are feeling the struggle the most. So it's nice to have.
Yeah, definitely. There's always the creatives, like the people who have the ideas and loves to do the work. And then there's the people who can implement. And that's what this whole online business management service is about, is helping those people who have all of the ideas actually put them into place. So we definitely need both of us in the world, and we need each other to make each other's businesses grow. So it's so funny how it all falls into place that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. So let's go into a few of the specifics of what you offer. So it all sounds really great. Let's unpack it a little bit. One of the things that you had mentioned that you specialize in is helping people balance the back end and front end of their business. Now, I do get a lot of people coming to my channel and the podcast that are brand new and may not really know exactly what entails front-end business tasks versus back-end. So if you could just briefly explain that for us, that would be super helpful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So front end of your business is anything that clients directly see. So this is most likely your interactions with them. So a lot of sales, business development, this could be networking, social media, marketing, all of those things that people see from the outside looking in that really give that first impression of your business. So those are some examples of the front end. The back end are the things that people don't necessarily see, like your email automations or your invoicing, or how you maintain your systems. People don't see that, but it's very important still because they experience it. So if these things are malfunctioning, they are going to experience those glitches in their client experience or as they're being onboarded, whatever that may be. So it's important to have harmony and balance with both of them. And they're both equally as important for the client experience and also your peace of mind as well. You want to know that people are having a consistent experience, that people are being greeted how they should be in, your lead inquiry process. And you obviously want to get that 5-star rating at the end of your service. So it's really important to have both the front end match the back end as well, because if they don't, obviously you have this really shiny marketing and your social media is on point and they're like, wow, this is really an elite service I'm investing in. And then the back end, everything crumbles and their invoices are late and the wrong names on their emails and, all of that, then things don't match up. So that's why it's so important that both of them are aligned properly.
Absolutely. And I imagine different people struggle with different sides of that spectrum, front end versus back end. You can correct me if I'm wrong because you do this all day long, but I do get the sense that the back end is kind of the aspect of our businesses that gets the least amount of attention, or is the least understood and can cause the most problems. So because it's the one that, like you mentioned, is not the forward focusing aspect of your business. So I want you to kind of give us some ways, just like a few key examples of how people can go about creating that balance, particularly in the back end. But what are some things that they can do to schedule appropriate time to focus on those areas of their business that need attention?
Yeah. And you're definitely right in what you were saying. The back end's usually always lacking because to most people, it's the least glamorous to work on. And doesn't always necessarily have a quick ROI. People, especially at the beginning of their business, are looking to get new clients and, make money and all that sort of stuff. So they're focusing more on the front end, as we talked about earlier. So the back end is obviously needed as well and helps connect the two. So, but there's people like me who love the back end and I really nerd out. So we're in a good place.
That's me too. So nerd out, nerd away, girlfriend.
Yes, absolutely. So when you are balancing the front end and the back end, you really process mapping is something that helps me a lot, is breaking down and thinking through all of the steps that someone encounters. So this is, someone who finds you on Google or someone who submits a lead inquiry on your website. This may be someone who DMs you on Instagram and is interested in your services or connects to you in a local Facebook group. Whatever that may be, those would be 4 different connection points. And those all should filter into the same place. So it's a very visual process where you're like, okay, so these are where all of my leads come from. And then we go to the next step. Lead inquiry. What does that look like? What systems am I using for that? Do I have the right contracts and proposals in place to send people? Am I offering free consultations? Are they virtual? Are they in person? What does that look like? And so you start to piece together all of those little building blocks of what your process really looks like and how people are experiencing it from the user end as well. So what steps they need to take, right? What forms they have to fill out. And that's really important to understand. So you can speak very intelligently about it when people ask you, so what's the process of working with you? What does it look like? What's the timeline? That's where all of your process mapping comes into place. So again, doesn't sound glamorous, but it can be fun. And I found that it's really fun to do it and sit down with someone else. So I do that with a lot of my clients whenever we introduce a new service or we're expanding into a new area. That's what we do is we do a process map. So we understand what our responsibilities are and what the client's responsibilities are, front and back.
Very cool. Do you think that is it the same as strategic mapping, process mapping?
Yeah, I would say so. You're essentially getting a bird's eye view of something and you're looking at the process from A to Z.
Cool.
So yeah, and absolutely. And it always changes too. So don't think that you have to have it perfect on the first try. It's something that evolves and changes as your business evolves and changes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, the only reason I ask that is because I also work with a business coach, and she's certified in strategic mapping. So it's
Okay.
it sounds like a very similar process. So I was just curious about that. So let's talk about maybe lead forms, for instance. So if we're going to collect information for a client up front, a lot of questions that I end up getting center around like, well, how do you onboard the client? What is the first step? Are you doing a free consultation? Are you doing in-home paid consultation? How are you screening them? This and that. Most people don't even really think about the screening process to make sure that the client is actually right for them. So I always introduce what I call a lead form first that allows people to sign it, sort of self-select. And so if you want to kind of take that concept and unpack it briefly so that people understand what that is and why it's important.
Yeah, that's perfect. And it leads into kind of what I was explaining with the process map is like all of these people come from all of these different sources, right? All of these different leads, and we have to put them all in the same place. Otherwise, there's going to be people everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose track of your leads because they're going to be in all these different pockets. So sending everyone to the lead generation form is amazing because it gets all of them uploaded into likely a CRM. And that so that you can manage people and you can have leads and people to follow up with. So that's like the first step of being organized. And with the lead generation form, it's really helpful for you too, because you'll be able to either qualify people based on the questions that they answered or disqualify them. Maybe you disqualify them because of the timing. They need someone tomorrow and you don't have bookings available until 2 months from now. There could be various reasons why you disqualify someone. So answering those questions and asking questions that align with like your business values is really important, right? So asking questions about their personality or how they want to work with a organizing professional. If they are someone who wants, maybe to work together, and that's not your thing. You're like, hey, I'm really an independent worker. That's just I know myself, and I love to go in and own the show. That's okay. There's going to be someone who wants that.
Yep.
So asking questions like that so you can really make sure that you're a good fit for that person.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, all of the questions that you ask on this lead form, they're going to help you save time no matter what the next step is. So if you're going to do that paid consultation in home, maybe before you were spending an hour, but now since you have such a robust intake form, you don't need to spend as much time because they've already answered and pre-qualified themselves based on the questions. Or on the flip side, you don't end up jumping on a call with someone at all because ultimately it's not a good fit, and that also is a time savings. So doing the upfront work of creating the lead form does create time down the line, whether it's saving time on your consultations or being able to immediately disqualify someone because it's not a good match for various reasons. So your process obviously changes as your business evolves. I know at first I was doing discovery calls every week. I was talking with people all of the time in my business. And that's just not the season of business that I'm in anymore. There's like an application that people fill out, and then I would qualify them for a discovery call now. I don't just let Joe Schmo that found me on Google schedule a call with me because I want to know more about them before I'm jumping on this call so I can be prepared and professional as well. So there's so much that go into that. But yeah, that lead generation form is amazing and is that plug between an interested customer and actually taking action, whether that be the paid, free consultation, questionnaire, whatever your business process needs.
Right. I think that's a great introduction and unpacking of that. And I think it's something that is not often thought about in the beginning. When you're a brand new business owner, like you mentioned earlier, you're really concerned with where your clients are going to come from, getting as many as you can. You're maybe a little bit more focused on trying to create the income. The money is a big aspect there. And so you're kind of willing to take on whatever from wherever, however it happens. I don't care. Just give it to me. And that can quickly create, I guess, good problems where you need to have that system in place. So I imagine that setting up a lead generation form is something that you help those clients with, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a great way to set boundaries in your business too.
Boom.
We've all been there. We've all been the yes men yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'm interested. Yes, I'll take this job. I feel like that's pretty normal when you're starting a business. You're feeling out what kind of your ideal client is, how you want to package things, how the process works. You're figuring all that out. But yes, ultimately, like you said, Melanie, you're going to get to a point where you're feeling like really pressed for time. And which is a good thing. It's a good problem to have, because then at that point you have to step back and be like, okay, I need to set some boundaries with who I'm scheduling calls with, or how many consultations I'm going out for during the week, because that's all such precious energy and all front end business tasks, right? And a lot of those front end business tasks need the business owner themselves. So you can't stretch yourself too thin.
So true. And that is the perfect segue, Brianna, into our next part of this segment, which is talking about the most valuable asset that we have as business owners. Do you know what it is?
I'm going to guess that it's time.
Yeah, you would be absolutely correct. And I firmly believe that time is the most valuable asset that we as business owners possess. So you kind of touched on this a little bit already. I want to dive more into it. We can talk about automation strategies here. But what are some strategies that you recommend for us to create more time for ourselves to work on our business?
So one thing I've also invested a lot in, as many other people have, is professional development. And that's something I did, honestly, within my first 3 months of business. I was like, okay, now I see why people invest in coaches, because we just can't do this ourselves.
Right.
And my first coach taught me the concept of meetingless Mondays, CEO days, whatever you like to call that. I call it my CEO day. But meetingless Monday has a nice ring as well. And that has been one of the most helpful things that has helped me pivot my business to actually be a CEO, to actually feel like I'm owning a business, not running all of these other people's. And the concept of a meetingless Monday or CEO day is a full day blocked for you and your business. And so this is a day where you don't take meetings, you don't take outside calls, you don't do client work. You set a very firm boundary for yourself. And it's a day where things like progress and move forward. It's a day for you to be creative. It's a day for the needle to actually move on projects that have needed to be done. And so I've absolutely loved implementing them. And it helps me carve out space into my week that's solely for the future of my business, and isn't for putting out fires and day-to-day tasks.
Yeah.
So I strongly recommend it. Have you ever had a CEO day for yourself, Melanie?
Yes, ma'am. I do mine on Fridays. That is my no client day. That is the day where I try to like kind of get stuff buttoned up for the weekend, and then kind of look ahead to what I've got coming up, and then kind of get on top of some of those things I haven't been able to work on throughout the week. And then I can just go full steam ahead on Monday. That's my style. That's my vibe. So I think I had one of my coaches, because I also work in a lot of professional development for myself and my business. She has her CEO day on Wednesdays. So I think, day's not important, but just kind of figuring out what works for you.
The day is not important. No, not at all. It's just about the commitment and like sticking to it. That's like the most important piece, is because when you don't stick to it, which inevitably sometimes happens, you feel kind of icky, right? And the days that you actually stick to it, you walk away so empowered, and you walk away feeling like there's so much purpose in your business, and that there's momentum, things are moving forward. And so that's one thing, one day time block for you, your business, get creative, do things that are soul filling for you. And I feel like that has been so helpful. So I really urge anyone who is starting a business, thinking about starting a business, or already has a business to implement that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you shared that. And it's so important. I started doing that probably a couple of years ago, and it made the biggest difference also in my energy levels, my emotional state. I found that I was able to be more present, more empathetic with employees, with my clients, all the things in between. And I think the hardest person to set boundaries with as a business owner is yourself. So having that accountability to you to do that just one day a week, doesn't matter what day it is, but just do it, I think is beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. Now, I do want to talk a little bit more about some of the nerdier stuff. in terms of creating time for ourselves. So let's talk automation software. It's one of my favorite things. We don't have to go into all of them because, as you know, there's several different types. They do different things, have different functions. What would you say for somebody starting out looking to automate a process in their business to free up some time? What would your suggestion be?
Yeah. So my OG platform, my tried and true, the platform I have done more implementations of than any other platform would be Dubsado. So is that a, sorry, what'd you say?
I was going to do a drum roll for you.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Dubsado.
Yes.
That is the platform that I ended up implementing once I got to that point, right? I was like signing on my second or third client. I was like, okay, now I see why people push the CRM system. It gets to be that time. And so I have used it for my business and many other businesses as well. So I'm constantly juggling between my platform and my client's platform to make different automations, create schedulers, manage client projects, and just make sure that everything from invoicing to lead inquiry is going smoothly. So it is a platform that takes some getting used to. I won't say that it's 100% user friendly. It is something that has a lot of customization, which sometimes scares people. But a lot of customization is also a good thing because you can really tailor it to your own process and make it unique and make it work in your business as well. So that's what I kind of recommend is my tried and true when you're kind of ready to level up, get those more official looking contracts. Maybe you have recurring invoices that need to be sent out. It is the perfect place. And then you can ditch your other schedulers as well. If you're using like Calendly or something like that, Dubsado also has those features built in, which is amazing.
Yeah, so it seems like it's a bit more of an all-in-one place. So everything integrates more seamlessly. You're not having to duct tape different things together, which, as most of us who do that know, it can be very frustrating when something does not integrate with something else and you're having to try to figure out how to get the software to speak to each other, essentially, so that back-end process seems seamless to your clients who are interacting with your lead forms. I don't personally use Dubsado, although I know a lot of people that do, and I'm always interested to try new stuff. So I may take your suggestion and take a look at it.
Yeah, definitely. You can always check it out for free and just kind of understand the platform more. So they have lots of great videos online too if you want to check out tutorials of how things work or how they use it in different business scenarios. So yeah, I would say that's an OG platform that I love. Another platform that I love for scheduling, both for one-to-one and group, whether it be workshops or in-person yoga classes, whatever it may be. I love Acuity Scheduling. Some may know it as Squarespace scheduling. So that is another one that's like one of my favorites to work in. It's very customizable. It has great features to send reminders via email and text message. It gets your clients and registrants everything they need when they sign up for something. And it works really smoothly. So if you are someone who offers group workshops, things in person, I really recommend that platform for people because it is tailored kind of more for classes and stuff. And then I'll say one more system just because these are my fave, and it's a newer one. So we went all the way back to my OG Dubsado, Acuity Scheduling, which is amazing, tried and true as well. And then newest system that I've had some pleasure of implementing recently was ManyChat.
Oh.
And it's a new social integration platform that people are using mainly to like deliver things to their social media audience. So if you have a lead magnet or a free workshop or a paid masterclass that you are going to be doing in the future, a lot of people spend a lot of time in their DMs getting people the information and the links and pointing them in the right direction. And ManyChat is a plugin that actually sends when people send a certain keyword, let's say, hey, if you want my lead magnet of top 10 ways to organize your pantry, comment the word pantry below. And so your audience member would go into your comments and do pantry. And in their DMs, it'll be a nice like automated message from you or your robot or whoever you want to say saying, "Hi, thanks so much for your interest in my free lead magnet. Here's the link to sign up." And it is amazing. And so a lot of people are loving the platform, and it's just kind of on the cutting edge of making social media a little bit more manageable. So that is
Wow.
yeah.
I love that. It's just, oh my gosh, like that would make so much more time available. And you just think about all of these different things that you recommended, all these different tasks that we have on our plates. And if you're able to just kind of get over, I get a lot of people telling me, you know, I'm not tech savvy, I'm really intimidated by it. If you can just maybe get somebody like you in their corner to kind of say, hey, it's okay, I'll take your hand, show you how to get this up and running, the possibilities of the time you have available become much. It's just so much. It's so nice to have that extra time.
Yes, absolutely. And especially for the last system I was mentioning, ManyChat, I set it up for a client a few weeks ago. And honestly, it's just working. Like it's just something that we've created once, and we're going to leave it for a while. You might update the lead magnet eventually, or change the word, or get more creative. But honestly, it's something that I could create and just leave, which is one of the most amazing things. It doesn't require so much knowledge from the business owner either. They don't need to get to the trenches if they want to implement this into their business either. So yeah, it's an amazing new platform. And I think it's always just fun to hear what's in the marketplace.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love that. I'm going to put that one down into the description and the show notes of the podcast so everybody can check it out. I'm definitely going to be checking it out after we're done with today's call. So I'm looking at my notes here, kind of skipping around a little bit. Let's pivot to talk about scaling, because there are going to be some people that are at that point where they're ready for some of these higher level processes to be in place. They've got the clients coming in at a steady clip. Maybe they've got a full calendar. They're booked out. Maybe they're ready to hire some teammates. Maybe let's talk about some additional signs that you might be spread too thin that people may either be ignoring or just unaware of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So that scenario that you just described is like that person who is in growth mode. Mm-hmm. They've acquired a lot of business. They're booked out. They're really busy. And they're kind of in the trenches. And that is a very strong indicator that you are growing. But we don't want to just grow businesses. We want to scale businesses, because growth has a ceiling. And likely the ceiling is where you start to experience burnout, is where you start to experience like being non-passionate about what you're doing. It's where you're starting to question like, okay, why did I start this business in the first place? Because I thought it was for more money and for more freedom, but here I am working 80 hours a week. I'm so tired. I'm not making it to my kids' soccer games. Yeah, it's because at this point you've created a business that's growing and not a business that's scaling. And yeah, you start to see those indicators, burnout, things slipping through the cracks. Clients maybe be bringing up things like, hey, I never got that thing that you told me that you were going to send. And it's that point where you need to really evaluate all of those manual, mundane tasks that you're doing that you just honestly don't have the bandwidth to remember anymore. Like what client is at what step? That's a pretty tall ask for anyone. And you couldn't pass that off to someone if you went on vacation, or gosh forbid, if you won the lottery and sold your business. Who can take on all of that manual work? Nobody. So I like to think of best case scenario, right? You're going on vacation to Fiji for 3 weeks. We need automations. Like we want your business to run when you're not even there. We want leads to be coming in when you're not even fishing for leads. We want people to be paying invoices when you're not even sending invoices. So I think, yeah, you have to unfortunately get to that point where you're feeling extreme growth to know that you're in that place to start scaling, which means, quality clients over quantity of clients.
Right.
It means rearranging your package structure. It means, diving really deep as to what's important for you and what services you want to continue to offer. And it's where a lot of people start to niche down as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the distinction that you made between growth and scaling. I think that says it perfectly. And a lot of people are, they really think and focus on the growth mindset. And that's a very popular kind of buzz term in the entrepreneurial world, but scaling is a very distinct, different, not activity, but just like state of business that you really want to focus on being. And I love that you made that distinction. So maybe what would you say then is the best way to scale a business while also giving yourself more time?
So we talked about systems a lot. So obviously that's always one thing. Systems could, if you are not going in a season of hiring, if you have the right systems in place, it could essentially take over what a team member would do. So that's one way to look at systems. Like, I'm not going to invest in a team member right now, but I'm going to invest in systems because it's about equivalent in cost, right? Then after you have that in place, there are likely a lot of other things that require a human hand, like building more automations, maintaining those automations, creating new offers, market research, all of those types of things that require delegation. So this is where you're actually outsourcing. And this can look different for everybody. But my tip for people who are like, oh gosh, I don't know, I've never really seen myself as a leader, or I've never really seen myself as a supervisor of sorts, start with outsourcing one project. And I'd look at your to-do list. What is a project that has been there for 6 months and hasn't seen any momentum? Start with that. Outsource it. It's going to be a small project. Give it to someone. Maybe it's updating your website. Perfect. Find a junior web designer or something like that can make those updates to your website, and you can start practicing what it's like to outsource. What the interview process is like, what contracts you use, all of that sort of stuff. That's really important. How you give feedback, how you get feedback as a business owner when people give you advice or things to change around. Start with small. Start with something like that. And that can help you get your toes wet with delegation, because it's something that's really important, but also really hard to do when you're giving away pieces of your business that is your baby.
Right. Yeah, it does literally feel like that sometimes. And I know a lot of us, especially in the professional organizing industry, tend to be, a perfectionist. So it can be very difficult to have a fixed mindset on your process or whatever it happens to be, and then have to pivot to have that flexibility to then sort of pass on those pieces that maybe you just kind of internally know what they are, but you're not used to creating that as a system, or a standard operating procedure to then pass on to somebody else. So if you're the type of person who is ready to take that leap and to start to delegate, or perhaps hire a team member or a business assistant or something like that, what are your go-to resources or insights, let's say, for hiring the right people for for your tasks or team?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And, hiring is something that is always changing and evolving. I come from a background of HR. So I think likely we're talking more about like contract work, right? We're not talking about like hiring a full-blown team member and all the legalities behind that, but we're talking about contracting someone either for a short-term project or for, a small monthly retainer, just to start feeling like a little bit more cushion. So we have some more, creativity in our day. While someone is actually implementing things that we've learned, things, all the professional development that we've invested in, they're actually implementing those things. So, when it comes to delegation, obviously best practice is to understand what needs to be delegated first. And so, again, that's kind of some time with yourself to jot down all of the different functions and things that you own in your business. Writing down everything from like sending invoices to paying taxes to updating your website, all of those things that go into it. And then, indicate by each and every one of these tasks, how much time it takes you approximately. and if you enjoy doing it or not.
Two very important things. Yes.
Yes. So time and if you enjoy doing it. And so that's important. And then you can kind of pull from that list. You're taking the things that are really time consuming that you do not enjoy. First, this is for your first round. And so you'll pull all those things from that list. And so a lot of times for people, it is like social media. That's one thing that I see a lot of people outsourcing right away. And I'm not sure if that's just because that's what people tell you should do. But I see a lot of people outsourcing that. It is something that is just very time consuming. So I understand it from that aspect. Something I also outsource in my own business once I got to a certain point. So, and then from there, you're obviously going to be looking to hire that right person. So, depending on where you are, this could maybe be like a local community Facebook page, working with your local, like a college that's in your area, posting on a job board. And then also, the best one is word of mouth. I get asked all the time, hey, any VAs that like to edit podcasts? I'm getting asked all of the time, do you know anybody? And so, networking and, all of that sort of stuff to see who other people recommend or who other people have used, because that's always a great place to start.
Yeah.
And then obviously you always, when you're outsourcing, you want to have some sort of contract in place. The person that you bring on may also have a contract or some sort of terms and agreements that you sign as well. But that's really important to lay out clearly what they're responsible for, what they have access to. And so, so you don't get your butt bit down the road.
Yeah.
And so that is an important part, even if they are just a contractor. So those are the things I would say to focus on. Number one is deciding what type of person you need. Is it more general work that you're looking for? Or are you looking for someone who's really specialized in something specific, such as websites, social media, lead generation, all of that. And then, go out to the market, and whether that's a local Facebook group, word of mouth. And then lastly, with that interview process, you want to make sure that you're kind of crossing your T's and dotting your I's so that there is some like structure and job descriptions and all of that for what this person will be doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. All that work on the front end is going to make for that time that you have on the back end. So you can focus less on the things that you don't have the time for and that you don't like. I love that that's the first criteria. And that's one thing that one of my coaches always says is when we're talking about niching specifically, a little side tangent, thinking about what types of clients you don't want to work with in order to then come to the conclusion of what your niche might then be. It's always easier for us as human beings, for whatever reason, to go to the negative place. So why not make that work constructively for us and start to think about it that way? So I like
we don't know what we want, but we definitely know what we don't want.
Yeah, exactly. Right on. So just to wrap up the last couple of things, I just want you to summarize with your top 3 pieces of advice for new professional organizers, specifically looking to grow a profitable business. So just kind of summarize a bit of what we have talked about today. What should they start to think about?
Yeah. Obviously, automate those mundane tasks. So we've talked about that a little bit, but automating those tasks that you're doing time and time again is really important. Number one is because as you're growing, things are going to start to be missed, and you don't want that to impact the client experience or the overall view of your business or service. So definitely focus on automating those things that you find yourself doing so that you can show up and be the face of your brand. You can do the front end stuff. You can go out networking. You can be meeting with clients. You can be working on the ROI because the back end is tidy and intentional. And then obviously we talked about getting your toes wet with outsourcing. Find a project that's been on your list for the last 6 months. I urge you to, and then find someone that could do it. It's a great way. I can share that my first thing that I outsourced was a slide deck for a presentation that I had. I wanted someone to match it with my branding. And so I had a slide deck I could use not only for that, but for other presentations I did. So it was a great investment to have that. And it got me exposed to what it looks like and, how to give feedback and how to make sure that, on the legal side, everything is ticked and tied. So That is really important. And then lastly, once you are at max capacity with growth, start thinking about scaling and what that looks like for you. And it's different for everybody what they choose to do when they are scaling. But one kind of tidbit I want to end on is that I feel like a lot of people, especially at the beginning of their business, they're so focused on client acquisition, more, growth, that they forget about client retention.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most amazing things that I've implemented in my business was like retainers, was recurring revenue. And so that is definitely possible, even if you are a professional organizer. There are opportunities to create memberships or packages, or ways to just ensure business while also, benefiting the other person because they have extended amount of accountability from you or support. So instead of thinking of acquisition all of the time, start thinking about retention, because I think those initiatives, whether memberships or packages or things like that, are really beneficial to both you as the business owner, but also to the clients that you're supporting.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That's a great note to end on. I'm so glad that you're able to kind of wrap that up for us and give us a few things, homework, if you will, to take with us as we go into the rest of our busy day. But before we do that, Brianna, I just want to make sure that if anybody listening or watching today has really kind of resonated with what you've been saying, they're like, wow, there's so many things that we've talked about today that I really have not thought about, and I need some help. How might they go about getting in touch with you, and what are some ways that somebody might be able to engage services with you?
Yes, absolutely. So you can check out my website, which is briannasbusinessboutique.com. We were talked a lot today about lead inquiry forms. You can fill out mine, check out the automation behind that. But then also I will be in touch with you to chat about what your needs are. I also am second most active on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So after checking out my website, you can head over to my Instagram, which is the same at Brianna's Business Boutique. And I'd love to chat. I'd love to hear what resonated with you or what areas you feel like you're kind of struggling with right now. And for those listeners of today's podcast, I would like to offer a special coupon. So if you do reach out to me on Instagram, I'd love to offer you $75 off of a VIP session, which is a half day dedicated to your scaling, your automation, and your system. So if you want to have some new things implemented that make you feel like you have time to breathe in your business and explore your passions and work on the front end while I work on the back end, that would be amazing. So I can give you a coupon for $75 off.
Wow. Okay, you guys, fam, take her up on that offer. That is such a fabulous, valuable offer that I, of course, will be sure to link down in the description in the podcast show notes. Brianna, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Melanie, it was so great to connect. It was so lovely to chat today. And thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks again to Brianna for being my fabulous guest today. She had a lot of really great information to share with us. She was so, so generous. And I encourage you that if this stuff feels intimidating to you, reach out to her, fill out her application, see if you can work with her in some way, just on a few projects to get yourself off the ground in a really sustainable way so that you can scale your business. Now we know the difference between growing and scaling. I thought that was such a brilliant point to bring to light, and she's a wealth of information. So feel free, don't be shy to reach out. All her information is going to be down in the description of the video. Don't forget to get on my calendar for those one-on-one coaching calls. I have a few slots left for next month, which is crazy to even be saying that that's what's left, but here we are. So I really appreciate all the support and getting to meet you guys every single week. It's one of my favorite things to do and one of my favorite things about this YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out all the additional resources I have available for you. The Pro Organizer Forms Pack, the I Speak Organized Social Media Method class, join my free Facebook group where you can ask questions. I got a whole bunch of stuff available for you, and I would love to help you out. Beyond that, I hope y'all have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.